So tomorrow on 15th of April 2026, it will mark the 114th anniversary of the Titanic sinking. So this video is special for that occasion. So I thought, what should I post? I've discovered some interesting info recently, but then I thought I should post a unique story most people are probably unaware of. So I found a very interesting story. And that is what I'm going to be sharing today in this video. The references will be there in the description if you want to check out. On the 10th of April 1912, when the Titanic arrived in Cherbourg, France, a party of four traveling in second class boarded the ship. These were Mr. Henry Sleeper Harper, his wife Myra, their dog son Yatsin, and their dragoman Hamad Hassab Parikh. Officially, he was a dragoman, which meant someone who was your translator slash guide slash assistant, or all three combined. It depended, right? But there was something very interesting about Hamad. Egyptian journalist Yasmin Saad went to his family, his descendants, to learn more about him when she learned that he was an Egyptian and he was on the Titanic. In fact, he was the only Egyptian on board. All the other Arabic speaking people on the Titanic, they came from Ottoman Syria. Ottoman Syria is now divided into Syria, Lebanon, Palestine, and I believe some parts of Jordan as well. So at that time, they were all just collectively called Syrians. Hamad was the only one who wasn't Syrian, he was Egyptian. So when she went there, she learned some interesting stuff. So Hamad was a descendant of Prophet Muhammad peace be upon him through his maternal grandson Hazrat Imam Hussein peace be upon him. And he actually had a certificate proving it. And because of this, people used to call him Sheikh of Arabs. But his family said that he didn't like it because he was a humble man and the nickname implied a sort of privilege. He was described as a handsome tall man with black hair and blue eyes. But you couldn't really distinguish him from other foreign passengers on the Titanic except for his oriental clothes. His dressing gave, Eastern vibes as they used to, or Oriental vibes as they used to call it back in the day. Now, Hamad was actually married by the time he boarded the Titanic, and his wife was pregnant. But what happened was that he was good friends with Mr. and Mrs. Harper, so they offered him to join them on their voyage, and he was like, okay, I have lots of friends in the US. This is a good opportunity to visit them and I can come back quickly as well. And the reason behind this is because Hamad used to work for multinational companies. So he had a lot of foreign friends and he often held very generous parties inviting them to his place and showing them Egypt. He had many connections. Now, on the Titanic, he was described as a very shy and quiet man who would often hang out only with the Harpers, nobody else. So, when the Titanic eventually hit the iceberg and it became clear that it's sinking, Mr. Henry Harper, who had survived the sinking before, quickly managed to get his whole party, including the dog, on deck. And here they managed to get into boat number 3 and escape. Now, according to Hamad's grandson Siraj al-Din, as he told Yasmin Saad, Hamad threw the Harpers and their dog into the boat first and then jumped in himself. But as the story later on reveals, Hamad was likely suffering from some, uh, you know, memory loss. And as such, this may not have happened. And what's interesting is that in the whole story that he narrated to Yasmin Saad, he says that his grandfather, Hamad, recalled many Arabic speaking passengers were shot dead by the crew that night as well. Now, Spoiler alert, I'm actually working on a story about this. Were people shot dead the night the Titanic sank? Yes or no? And yeah, once it's done, I'll share it. So back to the story. What happened was that afterwards, once they were rescued, Hamad sent a message on 18th of April at 5:20 a.m. saying, "We are all fine, Hamad." Now, why would he use the word "we"? He was alone, so why would he use it with in a message to his family? Most likely, it's believed that the Harpers sent it on his behalf, and he was probably unconscious at the time. But it could be that, he was just saying that I'm safe, the Harpers are also safe, all is well. But afterwards, once they landed in New York, Hamad disappeared for 3 years. Then one day in 1915, some of his foreign friends brought him to his house in Egypt, and his wife couldn't believe he was back. Apparently, what had happened was that he had suffered from trauma and memory loss because of sinking. But Siraj al-Din says that he was a family man and he wasn't the type of person who would leave his family on purpose. So he definitely was away due to some issues. But he says we never asked him where he was in the 3 years and he never mentioned it either. So whatever happened in those 3 years is something he took it to his grave. What happened after that was even more weird because Hamad was so traumatized by his Titanic experience that he cut off every single thing in his life that linked him to the ship. He never spoke with the Harpers ever again. He changed his workplace. And why he did that is again something he never mentioned. He took this to his grave as well. Though many people believe he was just traumatized. But what did he saw in detail? For some reason he never mentioned to the press in those days. Even though he could have done it, but he never did. So Hamad was married and he had 6 children as well as 16 grandchildren, one of whom was Siraj al-Din, who narrated this story to the aforementioned Yasmin Saad. Now Siraj writes that he mentioned, sorry, that they did not have any birth or death certificates of Hamad, so they don't exactly know when he was born, and he was too young to remember when he died, but he estimates that Hamad was around 100 and he died around 1964 to 65. And he says that despite being healthy his whole life, what happened was that on his final days he got sick one morning and they took him to the doctor. The doctor said that, yeah, his final moments have come, he's dying. So he died surrounded by his children and grandchildren. So that was the story. Thank you for watching. And if you have any other questions about the Titanic or some other maritime disasters, feel free to write it in the comment section below. I will search it, and if I can, I will make a video on it as well. Once again, thank you for watching.